kids who were sentenced to life in prison. This is Zachary Neagle. At just 14, he was given a life sentence. That's because he ended his own father's life with a rifle. He did this because his father had been abusing him for many years. This is Christian Fernandez. When he was only 12, he was arrested for taking his brother's life. He did this by pushing his brother against a bookshelf. He was found guilty of first-degree manslaughter and was taken to prison. This is Conrad Schaefer from Florida. When he was only 15 years old, he went on a shooting spree. This ended 2 people's lives. In 2016, he was sentenced to life in prison. Criminals who escaped from court. In a Russian court, this man tried to escape using the ceiling. This is 18-year-old Leonid Gracer. He took the life of his own sister, but thankfully his courtroom escape was foiled by police. In 2018, this man ran out of court. No one expected him to get away because there's a button that has to be pressed to open the doors. But he made a secret plan with a friend to open the door. You can see how his friend pushes the door button. This allowed the man to escape from court, but he was later arrested yet again. Look at these women leaving court. They were supposed to go on a prison bus back to jail, but these 2 women snuck underneath the bus. They then tried to run away, but unluckily they were caught by police who realized what they were doing. In Washington, these 2 suspects ran out of court. That's when the judge takes off his robe and chases these 2 men. Amazingly, the judge actually caught these 2 runaways. Longest prison sentences ever. This is Pudit Kitharadilok from Thailand. In 2017, he was sentenced to 13,275 years. This was for a fraud where he stole $160 million. This is Alan Wayne McLaurin from the United States. He was sentenced to 20,750 years. This was for taking the life of an elderly woman. This is Othman El Ganawi from Spain. He was sentenced to 42,924 years. This was for the 2004 Madrid train bombings. This is Chamoy Payazzo from Thailand. She was sentenced to 141,078 years. This was for a $204 million fraud. Criminals who were haunted by their victims. One day, Fan Man Yi was kidnapped by a gang in Hong Kong. The gang said that Fan Man Yi owed them $20,000. She was interrogated for 1 month and eventually passed away. But after this, the girl in the gang, Ah Fong, began to see her spirit. Ah Fong said she was haunted by Fan Man Yi's ghost. Eventually, Ah Fong went to the police and said what she'd done. The police then arrested the 3 men. In 1982, Jose Ferreira was at a party. That's when he met 13-year-old Carrie Ann Jopek. Jose suggested they go down to the basement, but Carrie said no. That's when Jose pushed her down some stairs. Carrie's neck broke and she passed away, and for 30 years it was a cold case. But during this time, every night Jose was being tormented by Carrie's spirit. So after 30 years he confessed and was finally put in prison. You won't believe what this girl did. This girl is named Claire Miller. She lived in Colorado with her sister Helen. Helen was in a wheelchair, so Claire would look after her. But on the 22nd of February 2021, cops got a phone call at 1 a.m. It was from Claire telling them to come to the house. When cops arrived, they saw Claire outside. Claire repeatedly said, "I stabbed my sister." Claire had taken Helen's life. She was immediately arrested, but that's when she went viral. Her TikTok account gained thousands of followers, but it was later removed. The reason why Claire did what she did is still unknown. You won't believe what this girl did. This girl is named Isabella Guzman. She lived in Colorado with her mother and stepfather. Isabella and her mother would often argue, and one day Isabella sent her mom an email saying, "You will pay." Later that day, Isabella's mother got home from work. Isabella followed her mother into her bedroom with a knife and baseball bat. She then proceeded to take her own mother's life. Isabella was arrested and went to court. But that's when Isabella went viral. Many people made fan cams of Isabella, and some people mimicked her actions in court. Many comments said she looks so innocent and should be freed, despite the terrible thing she did. In recent years, Isabella has done an interview. She said that she is now totally normal and should be freed. But do you believe her? These are the strictest prisons in the world. Black Dolphin is known as the worst prison in Russia. Inmates are taken here blindfolded. They're moved around bent over so they can never map out the prison and plan an escape. The prison is freezing cold and has no heating whatsoever. Inmates are kept behind 3 sets of bars, and they're only allowed outside their cells for 1 hour per day. Fuchu prison is found in Japan. Inmates are not allowed to speak even when they have visitors. They're also not allowed to look up. They must always look down. Inmates can't even sit how they like. There's a chart inside their cells telling them how to sit. They also must do 40 hours of manual labor every single week. Salt Pit is a secret prison in Afghanistan. Inmates say that sometimes they're not allowed to sleep for 17 days. They're also sometimes not given food by the guards. Real prison escapes caught on camera. In 2016, a helicopter was hijacked. It was taken to a prison in Quebec, Canada. 2 prisoners then jumped onto a rope and were taken out of the prison by the helicopter. They did escape, but a few hours later they were caught and arrested yet again. Claudio da Silva was a Brazilian prisoner, but one day he tried to escape using a disguise. He put on a mask and women's clothing and tried to walk out of the prison. In 2016, El Chapo escaped from prison. He was the leader of the Sinaloa cartel. A massive tunnel was dug underneath his cell. The tunnel had lights, vents, and even a motorbike. He was able to simply ride away. In 1995, someone broke the wall of the Copenhagen prison with a bulldozer. This caused 12 inmates to escape. Surprisingly, the inmates did this because they wanted to go to a football game.